Doing all, alright, Code there, back again, dropping another video. This time I'm going to be talking about visits, how they work, how long they're for, different types of visits, all that good stuff. Right, so I've been in prison like a couple of times now. Been in Cat A Strangeways in Manchester and been in Forest Bank in Salford as well. First time I was in prison, I was on remand for witness intimidation. When you're on remand, you're allowed a visit every day. You can have half-an-hour visits every day. What most people do, some people do have visits every day. You can do when you're on remand because obviously you're not guilty of an offence. You're not innocent, you're not guilty, so they've got to treat you like you're innocent, even though you're in prison and stuff. So you can have a visit every day. The first visit, I want to address this, right? If you've got a loved one, right? For those that don't know the scripts, obviously, those that know the script, they don't need to listen to this bit. But if you've got a loved one that goes to prison, right, from every court, you go to a certain prison. Well, in theory, there's obviously a lot of lockouts and stuff, and you end up at other prisons. But if your loved one is coming up to a court date and it's going to be the first time where they're going to end up inside, and they're definitely going to prison because the brief told them and that, right? As soon as he's sent down, you want to be ringing the prison. You want to find out what prison he's in from his solicitor or whatever. And you want to book what they call a reception visit. A reception visit, and it's an initial visit. It's your first visit. The visit's booked by your friends or your family. So, like I say, so if you've got a loved one going to prison, you have to make the call yourself. You book the visit. You tell him his name, date of birth, and all that stuff. Your initial visit's half an hour, and in that half an hour, tell you everything: prison number, fucking clothes that he needs bringing in and stuff like that. There's different types of visits you can have, to be honest. Like, once you get your reception visit out of the way, then it's down to the prisoner then to book the visits. There's two ways you can book visits, right, as a prisoner. One is on the kiosk, which is you just do it yourself, right? When I've been on remand in the past, I've done it on the kiosk, right? I've just booked the visit. You ring up your loved ones, your family, your friends, your missus, and say, listen, booked a visit for this time and this date. Get here, like Cat A, I think it's 45 minutes before your visit, and Cat B is normally about 20 minutes, half an hour before your visit. You've got to get there, get checked in, get booked in, put your stuff in the fucking locker and all that good stuff. Once you're convicted, like I say, if you're on remand, you can have a visit every day for half an hour, or you can just have one visit a week. I think that's a 2-hour visit, if my mind serves me correctly. So, like I say, and then you go to convicted. When you're convicted, you can have one visit a week for 1 hour. But sometimes you can have extended visits if your family are travelling from, like, across the other side of the country and all that stuff. When you get convicted, you go on to these. These are my personal ones. That's a visiting order. Some of you all know what this is. Some of you won't, right? So, visiting orders. How do you get visiting orders? Well, they're posted through prisoners' cells every Friday. It's normally every Friday. Sometimes it's a Sunday. It depends. They're posted. You get one a week. Sometimes you'll get two a week. If you're IEP status, for those that don't know, IEP means incentives, earn privileges. In layman's terms, you've got 4 levels, right? You've got basic, which means you're in the shit and you're in trouble, and you've got restrictions. You've got entry, then you've got which you're on for 2 weeks. Then you go to standard. If you're a good boy, you don't get any MIVO and any shit or any warnings or put on an outbook or anything. After 3 months, 12 weeks of good behaviour, you get enhanced. What does enhanced mean, I hear you ask? Enhanced means you get an extra visit a month. You're allowed sofa visits where you're allowed to sit on the sofa next to your loved ones as opposed to sat opposite them, and things like that. So you're in close proximity and stuff. Like I say, that's what they look like. What'll happen is your loved one will fill in the first name there and the address of the person, and then they send them out to you in the post. You get them, and you can put person 2 and person 3 on there, and on the reverse, it's got if you've got kids and stuff like that. So yeah, visits, right, are very important for a prisoner's perspective. To be honest, probably from a family's perspective as well, I can imagine, and missus and stuff. Because if you imagine, right, you're in prison, people in prison, right, prisoners, yeah, I'm speaking as an ex-convict, obviously. prisoners deal with prisons in different ways, right? Some have got nothing on the outside and they don't give a shit, and they've got a bad attitude and they're kicking off and they're smoking spice and they're getting high and everything else, and they've got a bad attitude and they've got nothing on the out to look forward to, and that's sad state of affairs, to be honest. Then you've got the lads that have got missuses, girlfriends, family, they've got close family ties, they've got close friendships and stuff, and for them, like, all they look forward to is the next visit, because when you get a visit, you go on the visit, there's like a little shop. For those that don't know, that have never been, there's like, you go into this big hall, depending on what prison you're in. You go into this big hallway. Once you've checked all through security, you've been scanned, you've been searched, all the usual. Either put your finger on the fingerprint thing. You go in. There's a big hall, and then there's normally like there's a window that you can buy food from and stuff. The food's always overpriced, I'll be honest with you. If you can feed the prisoner, right? Feed your loved one that's a prisoner. But if you can eat before you go in, do, because the prison charging over the odds for sandwiches, drinks and shit like crisps and chocolate and sweets and biscuits. They're making money off you, so yeah. But obviously you feed the prisoner because he's been eating prison food and stuff, and even though the food might be overpriced, yeah, it's an enjoyable thing. Like I say, a visit's a big thing for a prisoner. Like I say, it's like fucking your morale goes through the roof. You just have a visit. Some lads will go on a visit for an hour a week, yeah, and they'll just bollock the bird. They'll accuse the bird of cheating on them and all the rest of the stuff. Visits are also where drugs come in, mobile phones and things like that. Like I say, there's different types of visits. You can have closed visits. If you've been caught, they have what they call in prison, they have what they call MDT, mandatory drugs testing, right? It takes about a week to 10 days to get a result, yeah, once you've done a piss test. If you do a piss test and your drugs come back in your system of any nature, right, they can test for every drug under the sun, including spice, and they don't test for steroids because it's £1,700 a person to check for steroids, to do blood tests for steroids and stuff. So if you piss positive on a test, you'll get a nick in, you get put on closed visits, right? A closed visits, for those that don't know, is, have you ever seen the things in prisons and stuff where you've got like a glass thingy? It's like the bubble, we call it. It's where you're sat in a room, you can see your loved ones, but you can't physically touch them because there's a perplex glass thing under there and stuff. Like I say, it's to stop people passing drugs over, in theory. That's what it's there for. And it's there to punish you because you can't hug your loved ones, you can't kiss them, everything else. Like I say, visits are a big thing and stuff like that. Then you got your enhanced visits that I've just gone about through, where like your enhanced visits where you can put in for sofa visits, where you can sit next to your loved one and stuff, and like you can grope them and all the usual stuff that goes on in visits, you know what I mean? Screws know what goes on in visits and stuff. Lads be having a fucking girlfriends, right? This is a thing, yeah, I need to address this with you fucking women, right? You go on these visits, right? If you've got a nice arse, yeah, if your arse is your best feature, you wear the tightest pants you can find, yeah, G-string, thong on, all that mither. If you've got big tits, right, or you've got a great set of tits, girls will be like, they're out, you know what I'm saying, right? So low plunging neck tops and all that. You go on a visit to see your man, yeah, your man's sat there, all he's thinking about is sex. He just wants to get hold of you and ravage you and stuff. Obviously you can't do that because he's in prison and stuff, but you turn up and oh my god, it's like a punishment for us guys. It's like, this is what you could have had, but you know, he was a dickhead, you got in trouble, you end up in fucking jail. It goes on. Like I say, visits are a big thing. There's another thing. There's a downside to visits as well. It doesn't happen in, like, I'm referring to the prisons I've been in. I can't talk about every prison in the country because every prison is different. But the two prisons I've been in, Strangeways and Forest Bank, yeah. In Strangeways, the worst fear amongst prisoners is if you get ghosted. Right now, for those that don't know what ghosted means, ghosted is where, say the prisoner's on the phone to his missus, right? And they have a blowout, yeah, they have a row on the phone, and he's got a visit the next day, right? But he starts calling her a slag and all the usual shit that fucking prisoners call the missuses. And then the next day, yeah, he's not spoken to her because she's refusing to answer the phone to him. Right? He goes on the visit because what happens in Strangeways, right? They drag you up. They take you up to the visiting centre. The first time you don't know a visitor's not turning up is when you're sat in a hall full of people, all their loved ones have turned up, and you're the only bod there in the fucking on that fucking row of fucking 30, 40, 50 prisoners that's not got a fucking visit because your missus has not turned up. A ghosting, it's where they don't turn up. Your visitors don't. Your visitor or your visitors do not turn up. And it's embarrassing for a prisoner. It's the worst fucking... You get a ribbon and stuff from the lads will be like, you got fucking ghosted and all that shit, but it affects you fucking... It gets you down, you know what I mean? Like, what happens, yeah, like, you go on a visit, yeah, whether you're in Strangeways or Forest Bank, you'd have a visit, yeah? Right, I'm talking about... I'll go about Strangeways, yeah, that what used to go on with us. Right, so I used to see my mum on a visit, or my missus that I was with at the time. The visit finishes, you go back through the door, you go downstairs and you're in like a little holding room. There's a metal fucking like row of seats that go around the outside of the room, yeah. You're sitting there, yeah. You could hear a pin drop. The lads are just sat there like looking, thinking about the missus, the loved ones, the family. They might have a lot of shit going on the outside and stuff. And it's demoralising, to be honest. Your eye is a kite when you're on the visit. You're buzzing. Your adrenaline's there. You're happy. You're seeing your loved ones. And it's your one bit of fucking freedom and your one bit of happiness that you get in prison is seeing your loved ones and your family and your kids and everything else, you know what I mean? And then you go downstairs and you're demoralised and deflated and you sat there like, fucking hell, like I've got to wait another week. Obviously, like I said, if you're remanded, you can have a visit the next day. It's not a biggie. But for convicted prisoners and stuff, you sit there, demoralised and stuff, and you've got another week to wait for the next one and stuff. So like I say, visits are a big part and a big important part of keeping prisoners' morale up and stuff like that. Being ghosted and stuff, it doesn't really happen in Cat B's. Like Forest Bank, what happens at Forest Bank is you stay on the wing, and then what happens is when your loved ones turn up at the prison and they check in and stuff like that, then what happens is reception, once you've booked in, reception see that you've booked in, the family or the friends that are coming to see the prisoner, they ring over to the wing and say, right, send your man down, whoever your man might be, like whoever the prisoner is. And then he'll obviously know what time the visit is and stuff. He'll get a shower, he'll get changed, put on his Sunday best, and then he'll get down over to the visiting hall and stuff as soon as he can. Yeah, like I say, visits, the strict as well, right? With the VOs, right? Once you're convicted, you're on these, right? Like I've told you. So if that gets sent to you in the post, right? And you book the visit, at the top there's a booking, like that little 4-digit number at the top. That's a reference number, yeah? And then you have to quote that, right, when you book the visit, right? The booking number is normally on the VO, right? When you go to the visit, make sure you've got the correct VO, because each VO is like there's a valid date from to. If you take the wrong VO, say you've got 2 or 3 and you take the wrong one, they won't let you in. You have to have the valid VO with you when you go to the visiting hall. I'm only telling you because you know what screws are like in security at a prison. They turn people away willy-nilly. So like I say, I don't want you to, because people might have travelled from all over. Just because you're in prison in Salford or Manchester doesn't mean you're from Salford or Manchester, does it? You get Geordies in. I was locked up with Geordies, Scousers, everything. So people are travelling from all walks of the country, even London, to go up and visit people, right? And if you can't get in, you're going to be fuming. Do you know what I mean? Normally, like I say, at a Cat B, they're a lot more chilled out. Cat A, Strangeways and stuff, the fucking bastards. If you're late by a few minutes, they just won't let you in. They're fucking idiots. It's annoying, to be honest, because like I say, they know. And with certain, I need to address this as well, certain screws, what they'll do, if they've got a certain problem with a certain prisoner, they can fuck him up with his visits and stuff. Like, they can cancel visits from their end and stuff, and then the family are turning up. The lad gets ready for his visit, his family turn up, and there's no visit because they've cancelled it. It happens. You know the script, you know what goes on. It happens, man. It's a sad state of affairs. Visits are a big thing for prisoners, for the mental health, for, like I say, for the morale and things like that. It's like the canteen as well when people get canteens in prison. Like when you're sending money in to your man, he spends it on the canteen and stuff. The canteen is like on the kiosk. It's a whole lot of stuff you can order: toiletries, food, chocolate, crisps, tobacco, everything else in between. So, like I say, it's all morale. I'm just do these videos. I don't even know why I do them. I just hope that people, like, it's just to give people an insight into what happens within prisons, whether it's as a prisoner, as someone on the outside that's going to see someone in prison for the first time. Yeah, just trying to give people an insight into what goes on and how people think, and like just to word people up as well and advise them and stuff like that. Right, guys, listen, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time. Speak to you soon. Bye.